All right, and we are live. So this is Sam from Chalice and Chains, and today we are running a D&D 5th edition one-shot in Diablo Reimagined. So we have, at least right now, 4 intrepid adventurers that will enter the Cathedral in Tristram and see if they can test their mettle against the Butcher. So I am going to let the players introduce themselves and their characters. You guys can plug whatever channels you want and any projects or whatever, and we'll go from there. So I think I'm going to start from my left. So Fraser, if you want to go first.
Cool. My character is Celia. She's a Amazonian warrior who, after being banished from her tribe, is trying to find recompense and prove that she is worthy enough to be still a member of the tribe, which is the reason she has taken up this quest to slay the Butcher. She stands at about 6 foot, has blonde hair, but then muscle-wise, she doesn't seem to as strong as other Amazons would, but she still packs a punch.
Awesome, thanks. Alrighty, Nelson.
Yeah, he said it. My name is Nelson. You can find me on YouTubes and Facebooks, and even drive-through RPGs under Infinite Roleplay, where I make maps and characters and stuff. I'll be playing the Witch Doctor Bambara. He is decorated, adorned from head to toe in various dried flesh, augmentations, bones everywhere. But not the bones of animals, not the bones of other people, but the bones of fun little fiendish friends. And he'll be using those to power his skills throughout his endeavor.
Excellent. And rumor has it you like to make like a map a day or something. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, so check him out, Infinite Roleplay. And next we'll jump over to Chris.
What's going on, y'all? Christopher Carosella. I am playing Vain Dark Whisperer, a wood elf whose parents were slaughtered by demons long ago. After this, he went in through training from a demon hunter. Luckily, he bribed his way kind of getting involved with them. Since then, he's found himself here, wanting to slay this butcher that he's heard tales of.
All right, excellent. And finally, last but not least, Matt.
Yo, my name's Matt. I run a YouTube channel that I haven't done something for a little while, but it's called Zephyr's Gambit, and I plan to do some character spotlights in the next couple of weeks, so hopefully that will be good. I am playing Hadrien Demon Bane, and he has the following blurb. They said that the fighting pits was no place for one so out. I proved them wrong. The power of the gods flow through my veins. They have blessed me, and I have devoted my life to their glory. I would be nothing if not for the power they have granted. I have fought man, beast, and demon, and none have prevailed. The gods are my shield, and honor them by forging their names and their deeds on the very armor I wear. My deeds reflect my soul. A soul in awe of the gods who took this wreck of a man with his thin shard of metal and trusty bulwark and transformed me into a legend.
Awesome, dude. That's great. So we will get started. You guys have all come to Tristram, heeding the call of the king, Leoric. He put out a call for adventurers of any kind to come and rescue his lost son, Albrecht. When you get there, though, you find that Tristram is nothing like you expected. The king is missing, rumored to be dead. The town of Tristram itself is a dark shadow of what it once was. The glorious capital of Condoras is now nothing but a hovel, destroyed, and very few people hanging on to whatever vestiges were left of the lives that they once led. You heard terrible rumors of the demons spilling forth from the cathedral and the churchyard adjacent to it, entering the town and slaughtering the people. The king and his guards did what they could to repel this invasion, as well as some of the townsfolk. And the Archbishop Lazarus had told the townspeople that something was amiss down here. And when the king's son went missing, he led a group of townsfolk down into the cathedral to try to rescue the prince. Only a few returned. One, a drunk named Farnham, is sitting in Ogden's tavern where you guys find yourself right now. And he sits there at the bar, cup in one hand, the other hand kind of on his head, just saying, "Can a soul drink in peace?" And he kind of takes a sip of his ale. And you've been told that this is the man, if anyone knows about this horrible demon, the rumor of the butcher, it is him. But as you've been here a few days, Ogden, the tavern owner, has said, tread lightly with Farnham. He's been through a lot, and he hasn't been quite himself. But lately, as you guys have been approaching him and more, he's started to recognize your presence and recognize who you are and understands your mission here. He's ready to talk. And if you guys want, you guys are all kind of sitting around in the tavern. You all know each other. You're all here for the main purpose. And in the tavern, along with Farnham and Ogden, is the blacksmith Griswold. And he's sitting there, just taking some drinks, kind of after a hard day's work in the forge. And he's kind of looking at you guys, kind of with a curious eye and almost a dubious look. Especially some of the interesting-looking folk that have, graced this land. And also, he's a little apprehensive because he's seen adventurers like you before go into that cathedral and never return. So, with that, I'll leave it up to you guys. What do you want to do?
Well, steeled for this adventure. Suppose I will approach Griswold, 6 foot plate. Well, not quite plate wearing. I'm wearing a scale mail, and there's curiously no scabbard on my belt. So I'll approach Griswold and sort of wipe the remaining milk from my lips as a man as devout as myself could never partake in anything more heavy than that. And I'll say, do we know Griswold, by the way? Have we met before?
Yeah, you guys have been in town for a few days, so you would know him.
So I'll just amble up and I'll say, "Oh, Griswold, how goes the day?"
And he takes a big, swig of ale from this huge tankard, and he looks to you and he says, "Well met, Hadrien, well met. The day goes just like all the rest. No trade, no business. Just trying to survive. I can't sleep because of the nightmares, you know.
Yes, this butcher, this demon must die. I have vowed to undertake this quest, and my fellows here, I'm sure, who equally want the butcher gone, shall venture into the depths.
And as soon as you say the word butcher, Farnham goes a little bit rigid, and he's kind of sitting off a little ways, but he clearly heard that, and he's like, no, not the butcher. And then he literally knocks his knocks his glass over as he's getting up, and he stumbles over to you, and he comes up to you, Hadrien, and he kind of grabs onto your your cape or your tunic or whatever, and he's like, you cannot enter the cathedral. That vile creature, I've seen what he's done. He will cut you down. You must flee. And then Ogden comes out, and with him, a woman kind of behind him. A woman who's young and may have once been beautiful, but now is kind of careworn with stress. And he says, Jillian, stay back. And he saes, come on now, Farnham. Don't you worry. Come on back. And Farnham, he's trying to shake him off. He's like, no, they're trying to go into the cathedral. You gotta warn them. Ogden, you can't let them go. And then he kind of just collapses into sobs on Ogden's chest, who sort of gives you this look, not one of anger, but almost of exasperation. And he just looks exhausted. And he looks up to you and he says, well, Farnham and kind of over the sobs, and Jillian back there with her hand over her mouth, kind of shocked at what's going on. He's like, Farnham has been affected by this demon. We all have. But I, for one, am glad you're here. I don't envy you on your mission, but I'm glad just the same. Let me get you a drink or any food that you might need. But I'll tell you, you're going to want to go soon. Things have been getting, restless lately.
Yes, we have noticed this. But I digress. I must pray that the gods continue to be faithful to this wreck of a man and to his friends.
And Ogden kind of, nods his head. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just go over and place a hand on Celia's shoulder. Just say, friend, are you steeled for this fight?
I am ready for this fight, and my pride as an Amazonian warrior will not be broken.
Good. And at that point, the door to Ogden's Tavern opens again, and you see this old man in gray robes, kind of hobbling his way in. And as he kind of crosses the threshold, there's this crack of lightning and thunder that illuminates him for a minute, and you can see the cracks and lines on his face, and the intensity in his eyes, and he looks right at you guys, and he says, and that obviously who this is, and what you guys do, or what's been happening lately is, as you guys have been spending the night here, the different townsfolk have spoken to you, and they've been talking about how they've been having more and more nightmares. They've been hearing strange things in the night, and now they're getting restless, and they're getting worried, and they need somebody to go into the cathedral immediately. So he starts coming over to you, and he says, "Well met, adventurers. Well met." And he kind of looks to you guys, and he says, "You must come with me." And you know that this is Deckard Cain, obviously. Well, around town, people kind of think he's a kook. They don't pay him much heed, but the first day that you came into town, he talked to you a lot, and he told you about his theory that the Lord of Terror has risen, and that the lesser demons must be following him now, and how heroes are needing to to go in and kind of clear this temple. And now he says, the cathedral is restless. There is something stirring. If any time for you to go, it is now.
So as Deckard Cain comes in, Bombara was in the corner, speaking to a blackened and charred skull he has affixed on the table, with a mug of ale next to it. Shoots his head up, eyes widen. Oh. Yes, yeah. Well, yeah. Grabs the tankard and starts chugging it down. And right before he gets to the last drop, he shoves it forward as if offering the blackened, charred skull a sip, and then just pours it on and grabs his fetish and gets up and reaffixes it to his waist-side.
Nice.
I'm just going to approach Deckard. Ask him, where is the cathedral located?
And you would know because it stands out well, but he's like, it's outside of town. You take a path between the town, and you cannot miss it.
Thank you.
And yep, and Farnham at hearing that is like, no, you cannot go. And Deckard kind of goes over to him and he puts his hand on his shoulder, and he's like, Farnham, be still now, be still. It is okay. And he looks to you and he says, I have a feeling that the forces of hell aren't going to stay contained much longer, and unfortunately, I haven't the skill or the talent anymore to hold them back. If there's any aid I can offer you, just name it. And he says, but I do have this. And he kind of looks to all of you, and he notices that Bombara is the one with the more obvious magical skill, and he gives you this scroll, and he says, should you need to make a quick exit, you just read the incantation on here, and it will open a portal back to the town. But he says, but if anything's coming behind you, they can come through too, so you better use it wisely.
Useful magics indeed.
Most useful indeed. Store this away right here.
He says, good. Now, if you're in need of healing or anything, go see Pepin the healer. But otherwise, you should be on your way.
I'm just going to pick up my glaive from the table and just store it on my back and head to the exit, or the entrance.
Sure.
Yeah, following suit behind the Amazonian warrior, Bombara is walking away, sort of petting the blackened skull at his side.
Nice. And as you guys leave, Griswold says, he kind of stands up and he holds his glass up and he says, good luck to you, lads. God, I hope you make it out alive. And if you do, and you need your steel sharpened or your armor fixed, come and see me, and I'll help you out.
So this whole time, Vane has been stuck in a daydream, more of like a nightmare daydream. Remembering the nightmares that the others have suffered, he himself has been suffering nightmares, visions of when his parents were brutally murdered from the demons, the skin crawling beneath, inside of them, faces poking out. He sits there wide-eyed, horrific, and as the man says this, he snaps out of this brutal daydream, realizing that the party is getting ready to leave, and he's been sitting there quiet with his mouth open the whole time. He shakes his head and says, "The butcher should fear us," and just kind of walks towards the door.
Awesome, awesome. And so as you guys head out of the tavern, you immediately are just sort of buffeted by the wind, and the rain is now pelting down, and you can hear this eerie wail, and at first you think it could just be the natural sound of the wind, but you realize that it isn't. In fact, you've heard this sound every night since you've been here, and it seems to be emanating from the cathedral. Just this, this. And as the door is closing behind you, and this sound, is there, you hear Farnham let out this scream, and you kind of catch this movement behind you as Griswold gets up and tries to help restrain the poor drunk, and the door closes behind you, and you guys make your way through the town, and there's nobody out. There's very few people in this town to begin with, most of whom you've just seen in the tavern here, but the others that are there are boarded up in their houses. At this point, it is late afternoon, but you would almost think it was night with how dark it was. You also start to kind of, your feet start to sink and squelch in the mud as you follow what used to be probably a stone road is now just mud and dirt, and you make your way towards the cathedral through the buildings and all that, and as you get to the entrance to the cathedral, you see the corpse of this man lying there. At first it looks like a corpse, but as you approach, he kind of twitches a little bit, and he reaches his hand up, and whoever approaches him first, he says, "Please, please, help me." What are you guys gonna do?
I look around. Do any of you have any healing abilities? Because I don't. In saying this, I pull out my longbow and knock an arrow and draw back, pointing at the man. Should I end his misery?
The power of the gods flows through me. I do have... Well, it is the power of the gods that heals, not myself. But they can move through my hands and into this man.
I loose the draw on it. You hear it creak from the pressure that it had on the pullback. I step back, then save the poor bastard. And I pull out my pouch and start rolling up with some leaf.
So Hadrien stalwartly walks up to this man, and he touches one of the runes on his scale armor that has been clearly etched in by a fairly skilled craftsman, and he touches that rune, and for a second his fingertips glow with this blue divine light, and he just walks up to the man, and he makes the cross sign up upon his forehead, and presses his fingertips in just ever so slightly, and he heals the man for 5 hit points.
Excellent. And as you heal him, and you know this divine light comes from your hand and absorbs into his body, you can see that he kind of arches his back for a minute. He's like, "Ugh!" And he lets out this scream as his wounds start to knit at least a little bit, and he kind of takes this deep breath, and then he kind of his eyes go wide, and he sits up and he says, "Oh, thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you." He says, "But you cannot go in there. That vile beast with his blade cuts through your flesh, and the wounds, no matter what, healing seems like it has no effect on them. He cut us all down. Me and my friends. You can't go in there."
How many of you were there?
And he looks to you and he says, "There were dozens. Not at first. At first there were maybe 12 or 13 of us. But after my companions didn't come back, they sent in another group to come and look for us. Most of us were slaughtered. Griswold pulled me out, along with Farnham. I don't know how he did it. It was like almost like he was possessed himself, but he got us out, and I'm grateful for him, but he couldn't. He left me for dead. I don't blame him. I nearly was. But if you go in there, I'm afraid the same fate will happen to you."
I'm approaching him and just saying, "Do not worry, my friend. With my pride on the line, I am not willing to go down so easily."
And he says, "Well, I hope your pride is enough to help you here. I'm not sure if it will be enough." And as that happens, you hear this just wailing come from the tavern, or not the tavern, I'm sorry, the cathedral, and the doors that were at one point shut now start to sort of creak open, and then slam as the wind kind of slams, and everybody sort of jumps for a minute, and the man looks to the doors and and he says, "Something's not right. If you're going in, you better get in now. Otherwise, leave this place."
Bombara, at the loud smack, the crash of the door, Bombara jumps back and without any sign of any additional motion at all, he's standing there, knees bent, his back arched, his left hand standing fully extended, holding this blackened and charred skull out in front of him, and he's shaking. Oh.
And as you do that, you kind of see some movement or something from the cathedral, and before you can sort of ascertain what it is, this creature, probably 3 to 4 feet tall, not very tall, reddish skin, just almost no hair at all, comes out, and he's got this what to him would be a pike, but to you guys would look like a short spear. He's, he kind of gives this little screech, and he looks to you, and he said, and he doesn't say anything, but he starts to, kind of hiss and growl a little bit, and then behind him, 3 others pop out, and they start brandishing their spears. So I want everyone to roll initiative. And if you can, go ahead and put it in the chat for me. All right. Nelson 16. Oh, all right. And our paladin had a 20. Okay. Well, since we one of our party seemed so scared by the these three creatures that he temporarily had to flee, even though they're demons. Oh, but then just like that, he realizes that he wasn't scared after all and prepares for the fight.
Fucking Google, man. Grab 10.
I know it. It wouldn't be a hangout over or a D&D over a hangout without technical difficulties, right?
True story, bro.
All right, and Chris, what did you get for initiative?
A 10.
10. Alrighty. So Matt, you go first.
All right, so there's 4 of these things that we can see. Do they all look exactly the same?
Yeah, I mean, not exactly the same, but they are the same creature. They're all this sort of red and blackish skin. They have these like sort of patterns, almost like tattoos on their body. But they're so similar that you, without knowing, having studied demon ecology, you wouldn't be able to really tell the difference.
Yeah. Cool. So I reach down to my belt and I pull out to what most people would look like just this shard of metal it's a very thin blade and it's technically a rapier, but in Diablo and in this one shot, it just looks like this shard of thin metal that I just pull out from my belt, and you can see these little very intricate runes that are all the way down the blade from the hilt to the tip, and I say, with this shard I shall slay ye. The gods shall protect us, and I will move forward. Are they within 30 feet?
Yeah, you could definitely move and get into melee range with them.
Yeah, so I move forward and sort of move with my shield ahead, and just at the last minute, I stop before the one that came out first, and I just with this quick subtle movement. Bound from outside, from around the shield, and try to pierce this demon's skin.
Excellent. Go for it.
Okay. So it's a 13.
And that does hit.
Okay. So. Okay, so yeah, you just see this this thin shard of metal, and just for this very briefest of an instant, you see just a break through the sky, even amongst all of the clouds and the rain. This just tiny beam of sunlight and ray of hope that glints off his weapon and pierces into the demon. And I do 9 points of piercing damage.
All right. And so you slash into him, and this light, sort of pierces him as well. And almost to accentuate that, as that happens, and as he lets out this just infernal scream, another crack of thunder and bolt of lightning kind of illuminate the whole area around you. and as your sword pierces him, it almost sizzles in him for a minute, and it pulls out, and he starts to leak this blood. It's green, but it's so dark it's almost black. And he looks at you and and the rest of them start shrieking, except they can't shriek for some reason. But but they start doing that, and they start kind of dancing around a little bit, like they're getting almost like this frenzy upon them.
Yeah. All right. So as a final thing, I just sort of I turn to the others and I say, "The gods shall punish the unfaithful," and wait for the poise myself for the coming battle.
All right, and Bambara, you are next.
Alright, so, like I said, Bambara was holding, fully extended, the blackened and charred skull, the rain pouring down, beating on his form. As it hits the skull seems less solid than it once did, as little spouts of dark shadow erupt with each raindrop. The jaw of the skull drops open, and a gout of cold breath ushers forward, and Bambara screams out, "Buludaga!" And the raindrops above the head of these things all solidify into small ice darts as he uses shaped water to freeze the rain falling on top of these creatures. So whatever that does, it does.
Awesome. All right. Why don't we do this? Why don't we say you can deal 1d6 with that?
That was a 5.
All right. Wow. So this freezing rain that is now almost like these little icy darts rains down on these creatures, and they let out a shriek, and the one that was pierced by the paladin or the champion there goes down just screaming as these shards pierce right into his head, and he kind of falls for a minute, and then you see his body actually almost dematerialize into the ground and disappear. And just this like sort of it's almost like this ring of just like this smoke and acid, remain where his body was. The other ones now are getting jumpy. They're angry at this point, and they are going to take their vengeance unless you have, a move action or anything you want to take.
What, they're like up in my face?
Well, they're all sort of near you. They're not necessarily all going to attack you, but it is their initiative order.
I thought we were like 30 feet away from them, so I'll back up slowly to get about 30 feet away from them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And he's just sticking the again with his arm fully extended, shaking the head. And now the life in the head seems to have gone. The solidity of the skull is back, and the mandible that was the jaw is just shaking there.
Nice. That's awesome. And Hadrien, who has engaged in melee with them and is now standing toe to toe with 3 of them. One of them, who's closer to you, jabs at you with his little spear, and he manages to, he sticks you, but it glances off your armor, this little clang, and he lets out this sort of like, this little squawk of frustration. One of the others backs up slightly, and knowing that this magic just came down and killed one of his companions, he hurls his javelin or his spear at Bambara, but he also misses. Oh no, actually, well, Bambara, what is your armor class?
It's only 11.
Oh, then he does hit, actually. These guys can throw. Let's see, dealing 5 points of damage.
Yeah, as it hits Bambara, it seems to have sunken into his flesh, but a gout of shadow just spurts forward as he only took 5 of my 8 temporary hit points.
Nice. And then the other one attempts to attack Hadrien as well, but is unsuccessful again as he lands a glancing blow on his armor. And now, our fearsome Amazon fighter, Celia, you're up.
Cool. I'm just gonna run up to stand beside Hadrien and just take a swing down at 2 of them with a sweeping attack.
All right. Excellent.
Cool. So that'll hit.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's go ahead and roll damage.
Cool. So it's D10. Cool. So the slashing damage is 12 slashing.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely kill one of them, so you can describe your killing blow.
Cool. So just as I rush up to fight beside Hadrien, I just jump and swing down, hitting the first one, sort of cleaving down from the shoulder blade, and the second one is getting clipped in the leg for 4 damage.
All right. So that one, as he takes damage right in the leg. This is with your glaive, you said?
Yep.
Yep. And is that the butt of the glaive at this point?
Nope, that's the sweeping attack.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha. And so as you attempt to take out his legs with a grace that is somewhat surprising, he nearly leaps over your attack. It does manage to cut him right on the back of the leg, right on the Achilles. But and again, as this greenish blood starts oozing out and is coating the blade of your glaive, it starts to steam a little bit, almost as if acid. And he lets out this piercing shriek and just stares at you with this, malice and this hatred in his eyes.
Now I'm gonna, as a bonus action, sort of swing the butt of the glaive up into his ribcage.
All right.
That'll hit. For a total of 6 bludgeoning.
All right, and you kill him as well. And if you want to describe what that looks like.
Just as a swinging back up, she seems to have swung with a bit more force than she had planned, and it just cracks into his ribcage.
All right. Cracks into his ribcage, yeah, and it just collapses his whole, chest in on it, and he falls backwards, making no sound at all. And as his body hits the ground, it again sort of just sucks into the ground, almost dematerializing and leaving that same sort of charred earth kind of pattern where his body was. And Vane, I believe you are up. And there's one creature left, standing stoically.
Vane will pull on his rolled up leaf as he spins around and creeps into a shadow quickly. He wants to investigate these ruins as he's pulling out his longbow, drawing an arrow. He's a demon hunter, so he's familiar with some ruins and symbols.
Yeah, and you recognize this as definitely one of the sort of symbology or whatever of one of the minor demons, or one of the lesser demons. And if you want, you could make either a history or an arcana check to see if you can figure out which one it is.
Yeah, I don't know nothing.
Okay. Yeah, so you remember, it kind of tickles the back of your mind, but you can't quite figure out who these demons might be serving. And, yeah. Are you going to... Did you say you were firing at them or no?
Yes, I draw back, wondering, I've seen these fucking things before, I just can't put a finger on it. Taking aim as I pull on my leaf again, the embers flare while I'm in the shadows, and I loose the arrow at him, firing between all of my allies. Does a 17 hit him?
Yes, it does.
No. 5 points of damage.
All right, and you manage to bury the haft of the the shaft of the arrow right into his chest, and he rocks back a little bit. He's still alive, but he's now a little more apprehensive. He is not, he's not as confident as he was seeing the rest of his companions dead. And he starts to kind of stagger backwards, but he's moving slow because of the damage that he just took. And so Hadrien, unless you want to take another action, Hadrien would be up, or a move action, I should say.
I'm just going to pull on my leaf and walk out of the shadows, creeping up towards him. I know he's wounded, I know he's messed up, and I'll call out to the my allies up close. Maybe we should question this one before we kill him. Find out what's in here.
Interrogating a demon. I like it.
Okay. So Hadrien hears him, and he says, in all my years, I have never been able to reason with a demon. The gods have charged me to be their hands and feet, and with my hands I shall slay this beast. Unless you have anything to say. And he glares at the demon and raises his weapon, ready to slay the demon, and just pauses for the briefest of seconds to see if the demon says anything.
And it lets out this little chirp, and this growl. You talking to it and sort of taunting it, it seems to understand what you're saying, and while it doesn't necessarily communicate back to you in words, it actually stands fast and holds its spear pointing at you.
All right, so I'll just roll my attack. Yeah, that'll hit.
All right, and you don't even have to roll damage. You're going to be able to kill him, so you can describe if you wish to kill him how you do so.
All right, so I'm gonna. I'm gonna do non-lethal damage. And how it's gonna look is I've raised my weapon, but in a move that the creature just wasn't expecting, I just slam my shield right into his face, and he just falls like senseless to the ground. Literally stars are circling his head, and I just stand over him, my bulk there, and I raise my my shard, and I look over to the person that spoke, and I say, "I believe he's all yours. You better act quickly, or I shall send him back to where he came."
Vane takes a final pull on this leaf and throws it on the ground, stubs it out with his boot, spits towards the demon's body by his feet. Kill him.
And I will. Straight down.
Nice. Yeah, and as you do so, there's almost like another flash of this radiant light from your sword as you pierce into his skull, right into his face, and this demon actually explodes kind of everywhere, just around you as you do this. But as before, the shards of his body sort of dissipate, and while there isn't this this little circular chart, and now it's these little patches all over the ground, but there's this burning kind of stuff everywhere. And as you kind of look around, you notice that the man that you had sort of helped to revive is now basically cowering on the ground, basically kneeling in this a pile of his own piss, or a puddle of his own piss. He's terrified, absolutely shaking, and for a moment, and he's like, no, and then he actually passes out, and he goes face first into the mud and the the pool of piss and everything, and he's just sort of gurgling.
Yeah, Bambara is actually going to walk over to the circular rooms that were left when the other creatures had been destroyed. He's going to kneel over, start rubbing his chin and turning, talking to the charred skull. And as he's doing this, anyone looking would notice that the pupils in Bambara's eyes actually begin to separate and swirl and spin and grow until there's nothing but blackness left. And I actually want to read the runes with the Eye of the Rune, what is it called? Eye of the Rune Keeper invocation. I can read all writing.
Okay. And so you recognize that these runes basically say, for the glory of the great maiden, let the world perish in anguish.
All right, and that's as I'm reading it, I'm actually verbalizing it as well. For the glory of the great maiden,
Yep. And
so that everyone can hear.
Yeah, and Vane would recognize this. Vane, you would realize that putting this together, this sort of tickles your memory, and this makes you think of the demon Andariel, the lesser demon of anguish.
I knew it. There's a lesser demon named Andariel. I say to Bambara. Does this ring a bell to you?
Unless knowledge arcana would help me with it, no, I would not.
Knowledge arcana could help you with that, as a matter of fact.
I also look towards the champion, knowing that he is a man of religion. Though I don't know if he knows about those wicked fuckers.
So when he looks over to me, the only thing I say is, the only names that matter are the names of the gods, for the demons shall all end up like this one. He doesn't really know about religion. He's just been touched by the gods. Yeah, he hasn't done any study whatsoever, so he's just like...
So I start, unconsciously, I put my hands behind my back, start fiddling my fingers, walking back and forth, trying to recall all I know of Andariel.
Yeah, and you remember, and it's kind of vague, and it comes in, in these visions and whatever, but you remember sort of the history of Andariel and how she was one of the lesser demons, and at one point she was a close confidant of the primeval Diablo. But during the history of the demons, the lesser demons got kind of fed up with the primevals and how they were ruling hell, and they actually led a rebellion. And for a little while, the primevals were exiled, I should say, from the hells as the seven lesser evils, ruled, and they were banished to this plane, to this world. And so that's what you remember. And this all comes to you kind of in these visions.
So yeah, as they're coming to me, I'll kind of relay them the visions that I'm seeing. I'll bring them to life of her being a lesser demon and raising all this ruckus, but actually being under Diablo. So to me, this is serious. Even if she is lesser, to be in his presence means something.
Yep.
So this Andariel, she was the Lord of Terror's wench then?
That's what it seems. Aye.
Oh, she must not be much. We'll take care of her. Very easy.
I'm just gonna.
He turns to his skull again, starts,
I'm gonna approach the guy who survived, and I'm just gonna sort of drag him off the path, just so he's a bit hidden in case anything runs out, and sort of cover him with a blanket from the explorer's kit.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of flip him on his back so he's no longer basically choking in the mud, and kind of drag him off a little ways down, maybe up kneel or kind of up against one of the buildings. And kind of cover him with that. And as that happens, the rain actually starts to come down even harder. So it's kind of nice that you covered him up. And you can hear that just infernal moaning and wailing coming from the cathedral, which doors are wide open, and you see this greenish light, and and it's not a bright light. It's almost more like an aura, kind of emanating from the inside of the cathedral.
After tucking him in, so to say, I'm just going to join up with the group and say, we should hurry, for we do not know what awaits us inside the cathedral.
Yeah, all right. So as Bombara begins to stand up from his crouched position, he's still facing his charred skull, chatting with it, carrying on some sort of seemingly imaginary conversation. But if you would care to look, you would notice that the moisture on the muddy floor, the falling rain, is actually starting to crawl up his, over his legs, up his thighs, and starting to ring around his waist and form several globules of water, and then shock into solid frozen spheres around his belt. And then he just starts walking in, still talking to his skull.
Awesome. What do the rest of you guys do?
Are the bodies of the demons still there, besides the one that exploded?
No, they all basically dissipated and left those sort of patterns.
Okay, so I will shake off the rain, pull my hood up over my head, even though I'm going into the cathedral. And I'll reach into my pouch, and I'll pull out another leaf and start rolling another one, going in.
And Hadrien looks over to Celia, and he just says, "The gods will reward your compassion." Due to her actions with the man in the blanket, and he braces himself behind his shield and advances towards or into the cathedral. I'm not sure. Are the doors open? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he'll stride forward, long, confident strides, looking up to the skies for one last time before venturing beneath the eaves of the cathedral.
Excellent.
Is it quite dark inside of the cathedral?
It is. So you're the last to enter, and as you do so, it is dark, but you can see there's actually enough light that you can see without need of like lighting a torch or anything. But there are no torches lit. It's almost this infernal green light. And so as you guys look around, you notice that it looks like, you know, sort of the main area of a church, of a, you know, the Zechariah or the Horadric, you know, temple, and but where there was once, you know, probably the pulpit and you know, all the pews and stuff like that, you know, everything has been destroyed. Everything has been you know, mangled, and all you can hear is just this, you know, sort of moaning and wailing, and you hear this cackling all of a sudden, and all of you can hear it, just this ha 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 ha. And you see corpses strewn all over the, you know, this area. Some looked like they were like reaching, trying to like crawl their way out as their, you know, their legs were, you know, broken or mangled, and they're all cut and, you know, and bleeding. Near them are broken, you know, staffs and, you know, kitchen knives, and they look like townsfolk, but they are all dead.
You don't suppose they'd get back up and cause us a little of misfortune, do you? And then with none of the allies answering, I pose the same question to the skull.
I don't know, but I want to check the bodies before they do. And I start rummaging, seeing if I can find anything that's useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you do so, you start rummaging through a couple of the bodies. There, you know, they most of them were young men of the town. Some of them not so young. You see no female at all, you know, corpses in here, and you kind of are reaching in, you know, to a pocket. One has a dagger on him. One has what looks to have been an axe handle, but the head is broken off. One has some rope, and one seems to have this sort of assortment of herbs and what looks like little packages in like sealed wax paper with powder in it. And as you kind of reach in to grab this, you almost feel the body twitch a minute, and you know, you kind of grab it, and nothing else seems to happen. But it definitely felt like this thing, like, you know, kind of twitched.
I'm just going to go around the bodies, closing their eyes and putting a copper piece on each of them.
Okay, absolutely.
Just as I do, sort of saying, we'll give you a proper burial once we've dealt with this demon inside of here.
So I grab what I find that's useful. A little freaked out that this thing twitched and it might be coming alive, and I like step away from it real quickly. My hand unconsciously going to the hilt of my short sword as I walk away from it, eyeing it, watching the man placing these things on his eyes. I mean, the woman placing these things on their eyes. I'm sorry, and I am interested in this stuff in this wax paper. Can I make a check? Am I familiar with it?
Yeah, you could make either a, I think it was nature or medicine check.
All right. I got a 10.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of remember that these herbs do seem to be healing herbs, you know, and these packages are probably, you know, the powdered form of these herbs that you might put into like a tea or a drink that you could drink, and you know that they are rumored to give some kind of healing property.
Okay. So, knowing this, I'll place them into my pocket in case we need them later, or maybe in case she finds somebody that needs healing, I can give them to her.
Yep. Sounds good.
With with Vane being twitchy around these corpses and the notion, the question that Bombara just asked, he steals away just casually into the shadows, halfway extending the skull, shaking it again. The jaw wriggles free and just starts waxing and shaking back and forth loosely. It almost seems like some blood is starting to trickle from the skull's teeth and its maw. And with that, Bombara's wiggling his fingers, muttering things silently under his breath, and using shape water one by one to manipulate the blood on the floor and animate it into a snake around the ankles of each corpse, and then freeze it one by one, just in case they decide to get up. They're not getting up. No, Hollander. No, and he's shaking the head over and over, repeating the process again and again by himself silently in the corner.
Awesome. And as you do so, as soon as the, this sort of blood snake materializes around the ankles of these, these corpses, and there's probably, a good 24 corpses, just in this room. Anybody who might still be kind of near them or whatever, they all of a sudden, all of their eyes just, pop open. And there's no pupils or anything, but it's just pure white. And then all of a sudden, that white is just replaced by this absolute black shadow. Except you can't see it for the ones that have the coins on their eyes. But they start to move, and they start to slowly kind of move themselves. Some of them sit up. And some of them are sort of, they're looking, and they're like, they recognize what's happening, and that they can't stand up. Some of them try anyway and fall back down, but others, you see that they start to pull themselves, like with their hands, trying to pull themselves away from their shackles, and some of them their legs start to rip apart at the ankles. And the ankles are just just there, stuck on the ground, twitching and moving. And these things are slowly trying to pull themselves at you guys. A couple of them manage to kind of hobble their way, over. One of them breaks 1 foot free, and is almost like hopping at you. They're all like, and they are all looking at Bombara now. All of them focused on the source of the magic. What are you going to do? All right. There's about 25 of them.
There's 25 of them?
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, Bombara.
I told you! I told you they were going to get up and cause us some havoc!
Well, I'm definitely gonna move to stand between him and them.
I'll having lit my rolled up leaf, I'll draw on it and move forward towards Celia, who is right in the midst of these people. So to aid her.
I'm just going to pull out my glaive and just smash it onto the ground.
All right.
What Bombara is going to do, for as long as he has an opportunity to, starting with the ones that, their feet just ripped apart, whatever blood is left on the floor, he extends the skull even further straight out, presenting it, shaking it more violently. Oh, no, I told you! And as he's shaking it, the skull, the jaw is just, whipping left and right. You can hear the clattering of the skull's jaw back and forth almost sounding like the creaking and cracking of the bone of these things reanimating. And what he's going to do is one by one, use shape water to actually freeze whatever blood is underneath, left underneath these things, to create a sheet of ice.
All right, awesome. Yeah, and as the whole sort of cathedral, the temperature in the cathedral, which had been surprisingly hot, is now freezing. You get, you feel this chill, and the ice, the whole ground kind of turns icy underneath them. And you see that, they're starting to try to like claw their way on, and they slip, and some of them fall, and they start letting out these groans and these sort of frustrated mutters. And you guys notice, as kind of, this sea of just, reanimated corpses are desperately trying to get to you. At the back of the cathedral, behind, sort of the pulpit area where the priest might give his sermon, is a doorway that would lead down into the catacombs.
All right. So I call to my fellows and I say, come behind my shield, my friends. We shall make our way down further into the depths and defeat these evils once and for all.
Joining up with Hadrien, I'm just going to make glaive ready, but sort of leaving a 5-foot gap between me and him.
All right. How about the rest of you guys? What are you guys going to do?
Well, with the rest of them moving towards this, and the notion of running away from the dead so that we could fight something evil. Yes, and Bombaro will make his way, down towards the pulpit where this door is. But he's like pulling all the water, not the ice globes, but off of his the rain off his skin, from his hair, and doing the same one by one to his allies, to sort of collect it more and more in front of him, so that he has a wall of water just there blocking the way, at the ready for him to do anything. Still extending his hand, moving it, this time no longer looking like blood, but it's looking like a small little waterfall of what might be either water or saliva just pouring out of the skull's maw, but disappearing completely before it actually hits the floor.
Nice. Yeah, and there's no lack of water for you to draw on, as all of the the once beautiful sort of stained glass cathedral windows have been broken, and the wind and the rain is sort of pouring in. And the corpses all around you are just still frustrated, trying to get to you. Some of them, are faring a little bit better than others, but the ice on the ground has made it very difficult for them they can't seem to maneuver. That same ice, however, has made it very slippery for you guys to maneuver as well.
All right.
Well, if that's the case, Bombaro will melt it just before his foot falls, turn it to blood again.
All right, and you're gonna
freeze it as he passes.
Nice. You're gonna head towards that door. All right.
I think we're all gonna head towards the door. I certainly am, and I'm gonna try and protect my allies as I wield my shield.
Awesome.
If any of them come too close, I'm just gonna give them a hit with a bunt of my glaive, just sort of pushing them away.
Yeah, and you do, in fact, because as Bombara is unfreezing, the ice, they are now now they have traction. They're coming at you. Some of them moving faster than others, but yeah, you just like kind of hit them with the butt of your glaive, and some of them you bury it in their skull. others, you kind of knock them back a little bit. And you guys make it to the door without being, assaulted in any way. And you're standing there, and as you kind of open the door, and these stone stairs lead down, it's completely black. And you can feel just this oppressive heat, and the air literally feels thick, like you would be like, if you were to walk into the stairs, you could literally feel.
All right, cool. We all made it inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're on the other side of the door. So what Bombara will do is actually start to close the door, still shaking the skull, and that collection of water he was trailing behind him. He's just encasing the door, its hinges and the wall in this water, and then he just stops shaking it. The skull's jaw snaps back into place, snapping shut, and as he does so, the entire thing freezes to reinforce the door shut.
Okay, so freezing yourself in the catacombs, I like it. I like it a lot. Awesome. Yeah, and as you do so, the door, freezes, and it gets this, kind of frost coating on it. And as that happens, this image sort of starts to appear in the frost, as if the moisture and the magic, kind of brought it into being. And it's this, just this kind of almost like a crude drawing of this face, just sort of, contorted in anguish and pain and terror, and as you kind of make it out, and Vane starts to really kind of lock in on this, because these are similar visions to what he would have had in his nightmares. This anguished face, this other face kind of starts to appear behind it, and it's just this terrible demonic figure with flames for its eyes and mouth. And everything is just absolutely silent and very, very dark, and all you can really see is kind of that image on the door.
So
I kind of gasp out. I'm sorry, just from all the memories and all that.
All right. I will sheathe my weapon. Just there's a shard back into the belt, and at the top of my pack, there's some torches just at the side there. So I'll just pull out a torch, and wield it in my weapon hand, and strike a light into it, so that we have some illumination heading down the stairs.
Bombara will steal himself away, snatch himself back from the light, shielding his eyes with his free hands. He goes, "Oh no! Don't your divine people give you this power to see in the dark?" Oh, and he's covering his eyes in pain. And from between his fingers over his face, you would actually see shadows, like a shadowy substance, start to bleed away and form a cloud and dissipate.
So I say, perhaps after slaying one so powerful as the Butcher, the gods might see fit to reward me so. But for now, I must use the crude aid.
Excellent. Ah! And as you light the torch, it illuminates just enough for you to, kind of see that you're right at the top of this stone stairway. And you start actually hearing banging on the door behind you, just this. And as you sort of descend the stairs, it actually, this oppressive darkness, it seems to ease up just a little bit. But as you go further and further down the stairs, it starts to get really hot. You start to sweat as you just feel almost like you're walking into a sauna. And as you get to the bottom of the stairs and you're looking down this hallway, it's enough for about two of you to stand side by side and about maybe 20 feet, to 25 feet ahead of you. Immediately to your right is this doorway, against the wall that you could go into if you wanted to, but it is closed. It's a stone door, and on the door is etched into the doorway that same symbol that you guys saw up above. Almost in this crude carving of that anguished face. What would you like to do?
Vane will, seeing this symbol again, his eyes will roll in the back of his head, and he'll unconsciously reach into his pouch, grabbing out this incense and this pack of herbs. He starts muttering under his breath, with his eyes still rolled in the back of his head. He approaches this symbol, lighting the incense. He takes it and waving the smoke over it. He takes a dagger from his pocket, scoring the palm of his hand, and takes his blood, wiping it, smearing it across the door, still muttering, waving this incense in front of it. His eyes still rolled in the back of his head. He takes this dagger and scores the door with it. And as he does so, the cathedral moans. Again, this moan that it's been doing for the last days since we've been here, as he attacks this door. And his eyes roll back from his head, and he looks around at the party, and he says, "We're getting close."
Yeah, and as you do that, as you're sort of scoring it and you hear that moan, it almost looks like, and it must be an illusion, but it almost looks like flames kind of in the eyes of this, this visage on the door as you kind of cut it down. And then, are you opening the door or just kind of trying to remove the face?
Yes, I'm performing a ritual on it that my teacher had taught me long ago. Just kind of letting, it's a, what would it be, letting him know that we're here and that we are approaching him, calling him out in a way.
Nice.
We're not going quietly.
Yeah.
The others don't know. I mean, my presence is definitely known.
Yep. Absolutely. And so what do the rest of you do when you see this ritual almost being performed?
I'm standing safely back from that light. Now Bambaro would be at the very edge of the light, still shielding his eyes a bit from its brightness.
So I will just etch across into the air and just look down onto my arm where the scale armor is, and I will just place my right hand on my left arm where there's a rune and just grip onto it and just wait to see what happens.
I look in the eye of each and all of my allies and let them know I have challenged them. It knows that we are here and we are approaching.
Well, there
That
goes
is
the
fine.
element of surprise.
There is no need for an element of surprise. An honorable battle is the best kind, even when against such dastardly foes.
What was that? And he pulls the skull and turns it to his ear. He starts looking at his allies one by one and just, oh, I know.
Nice. And sort of to underscore that point, you start hearing some skittering and some noises coming from behind the door. You can't quite tell what it is, but there's that, or the hallway kind of extends down in front of you.
So do we want to go in this door or just pass it on by?
We must search near and far and find this butcher. He must perish. The gods have stated it so.
So I'm all for like going through the door.
I open the door, being there.
Oh no!
Yep, and it kind of slides sideways, and as it does, it's almost this rush of foul air just comes out and kind of hits you in the face. And you just this smell of death and decay. And as you get this glimpse into the room, because you're in a catacombs, so it's not surprising. But at the same time, you look in, and standing before you are 4 creatures similar to the ones that you saw exit the cathedral when you were up, in the town. But these are bigger. And these seem to be armored and carrying all sorts of different types of weapons. One has an axe, one has a sword. They look much more vicious, and they look up at you, and they just let out a snarl and roll initiative. And so what I'm going to do, Chris, I'll have you roll initiative against these guys, and then as the rest of you guys, if you're able to enter, I'll have you guys decide what order you'll go in.
I got a 16.
You did? Oh wow! And they got a 17. That's crazy. Oh man, I'm telling you, last night Dice Stream was nice. All right, so one of them rushes at you, an axe, in his hand. This black skin with these almost like these red tattoos, and you recognize this as one of these sort of minor pit demons, kind of not a pit demon like you might see. These are almost like imps. And this one rushes at you, swinging his sword or his axe at you, and you manage to, with very little effort, just kind of dodge out of the way as this axe buries itself into the door next to you. And he's kind of struggling to pull it out, and as he does so, the other one tries to chuck a blade at you, and this one also kind of streaks right past your head into the door as he basically threw a short sword at you, but you managed to dodge out of the way. The other 2 hang back waiting as there isn't room to approach you, but they're brandishing their weapons. And you can go.
Alright, as the one swings at me, I spin and luckily dodge out of the way of the short sword that goes past my head. While spinning, I pull out my short sword, swiping it at the belly of the beast that's beside me. Does a 14 hit it?
As you swing at it, he manages to kind of grab your arm, and kind of avoid your blow as you kind of extricate yourself from his grip, but he then reaches and pulls out a small blade, but you did not hit him.
Okay. As he pushes my arm away and he's distracted with that, I have the crossbow expert feat. I'm gonna reach on my hip, pull out my hand crossbow, and shoot him in the gut.
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
If I can. Oh yeah. 20 hit.
Yes, it does.
Alright. 3 points of damage.
Okay.
So you see him smack my hand out of the way with the short sword, and it swings out, but you see me grab my hand crossbow at the hip, loosing the arrow, and it sticks him in the gut, and I yell out, "And Dariel, don't hide behind your flunkies! Come! I've challenged you, whore!" Knowing that she's been Diablo's whore.
Nice. And you seem to send these demons into a rage at that, as they are just incensed at your insult. And they start growling. And this one is literally like, I mean, he wants to bite you. He's so angry. And are you still standing in the doorway, or are you...
Yeah, I would have moved in if I had to engage with them, or stayed there if they engaged me, whichever had happened. So yeah, I think I'm in the doorway because he engaged me, right?
Yep.
And I kind of spun on it.
Yep. All right, so Hadrien, you would be up next. You are going to have a hard time actually engaging these creatures, but you do have an action if you wish to do something.
All right. What I would like to attempt, and Hadrien would communicate with what's Christopher's character's name again? Sorry.
Vane.
Vane. All right, I'll write that down. Yeah. Hadrien would sort of say, Vane, let me stand between them and you. And if he's a willing ally, I should be able to, like, hopefully, with your permission, like, pull him out of the way and interpose between them and him. But I'm not sure how that works in this edition. So, but that's what I want to try to do.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can definitely try to do that. If Vane does not want you to do that, I would say make up opposed grapple rolls. But if you're going to roll with it, then you'll succeed.
Now, hearing Adrian yell at me, it snaps me out of this fury that I'm in. I'm a little aggravated that these flunkies are here, keeping us from our challenge, from the true challenge. So seeing that I'm blocking the way and I will be fighting everybody by myself, I kind of tumble back, getting out of their way so that they can help in the fight.
And as I was going to say before that, as you do so, the guy that was swinging at you with an axe, quickly reacts and takes another swing as you're kind of leaping out of the way, and he does hit you, seeming to miraculously, rend right through any armor that you might have. And how much is he going to deal you today? 13 points of damage as his axe cuts right into you. This great axe just, rending your flesh. And it actually feels, and you've been cut before, you've been in battle, you know what a normal blade feels like. This feels like it may be imbued with some sort of, demonic power as the wound starts to fester and bubble.
I gasp out as it strikes me. Ah! And I guess that's all I could do right now. I knew I was gonna wear one.
Yeah.
So I grab him and help pull him away from the weapon, but see the axe carving into his body, and so just I muttering under my breath and just sort of saying, the gods protect you. I will as my action spend another 5 points of lay on hands to try and stop the bleeding. So yeah, my hand just sort of touches your chest, and just for an instant that divine blue light glows, and you can feel some of the wound knitting itself back, even as the axe just leaves your flesh. And so I don't really have any more, because that's an action to do that. So I'll but I will sort of put myself not in the door, but like just behind the door, so that they have to come out to engage us. That's the plan, and I've pulled him right behind me, so that I'm between them and him.
Excellent, and I'm going to give you a point of inspiration because you are using true to form Diablo tactics. Stand right in the door so only one can come at you at a time.
Yes.
Plus, that was awesome. So that is great. So yes, you're doing that. Now, Celia, I believe you are up next. What would you like to do as you see you see Vane basically be pulled out of the door and take this nasty gash, and as he's doing so, you see, the I guess technically, are you a paladin or a paladin, right, Hadrien?
Yeah.
The champion or the paladin, using his divine energies to kind of knit at least some of those wounds.
Is there space beside Hadrien in the stairwell or hallway?
I don't know, Hadrien, would you say there is?
So I've, depending on what it all looks like, but I've sort of grabbed him and I've put him beside me. So there's me. So there's the door. There's me, and then there's Vane.
So it sounds like probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That depends on which way the door opens.
Yeah.
The door actually kind of slid into the wall, so the door isn't taking up any room.
I'm just going to walk sort of kind of in front of the door. Not fully in front, but just a bit beside, so I can still hit with my glaive.
Yeah.
With it being a 10-foot reach.
Yeah, go for it.
I can see it now. We're all just waiting there.
So that's a net 20.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
so the way
wow.
that I do, oh man, and I didn't actually double the damage for Carousella, so you got lucky on that one. The way I do crits is you roll your damage, add any modifiers to it, and then double it. So.
I felt I got off lucky.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's 18 damage in total.
18. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so you definitely have heard him. He is, he takes this just massive, massive wound, and he cries out in pain, and again this blood, this just green ichor kind of, starts smoking on your blade, as it's pooling around you now.
Take a small, not even 1 foot step, just and pushing the butt of my blade.
Yep.
The glaive. That's an 8 to hit, so don't think that hits.
No, that does not hit.
Cool.
All right, and last but not least, Bambara.
I Bambara from where he's at. He positions himself just to look, just to be within sight of inside of the door. He swings the charred skull over towards his right, into his right hand, with both hands holding it firmly, extends and starts shaking it. The skull's jaw that was shut begins to slowly slip and start to fall. And as it does so, it never fully opens, but you see this orangey glow. And Bambara is just chanting, fire! And as he says that, from the stone on the floor and the stone on the ceilings, the tracing where the mortar would be begins to glow, orange and yellow, and from between that orange and yellow glow, both from the floor and the ceiling, a swarm of tiny little orb spiders starts to erupt and form a column of just floating, flaming spiders in that doorway where one of those imp thingies were. So, of course, it happened. I did it. You're welcome. Create bonfire. The DC is a deck save, DC 14.
Alrighty. Let's see. And Dice Stream is being my friend. And Dariel and her forces are, imbued with this, this just pure hatred that is making them tough to kill.
Damn it, demons use hacks.
Yeah. Plus, using fire on a demon. I mean, I'm gonna say in this case, no. They're used to it. Cool. All right.
Ain't in hell yet. We ain't in hell yet. They weren't used to it till we got to the hell levels, man. I remember.
Yep, no, that's true. All right, so let us see. So I believe we are now back to the top of the initiative order. Now, because Vane was pulled out of the door, I guess if you want, you can take your action, but you would have to basically use your move action to get back in range if you want to make a melee attack.
I will, as soon as this, first off, do you want to give me that crit damage?
Nope.
You sure?
Yeah, I forgot, so you're good.
Alright. As soon as this blade enters my skin, I let out that yelp of pain that, ah! And I feel this hand touch me, and this yelp turns into almost a groan of ecstasy as this healing takes over me. This divine magic heals me, and I continue out of the way from the blade. Turning, I spit. As I spit, it hits the ground. I see that it's this nasty green color, and I turn, taking in the scene, drawing my arrow. Could I squeeze a shot between everybody? Would I be at disadvantage?
Yeah, I would say you can try, but yeah, you would roll at disadvantage.
Am I going to shoot one of them?
I don't know, let's find out.
So, yeah. I think my mark's good. I'll spin around, seeing them. I can see a little gap of light and a demon behind them. I'll take aim, mad that one of them just struck me. Loosing the shot. That ain't bad. Does a 15 hit?
Let me see. No, a 15 just misses as you hit him, but it actually doesn't seem to pierce his armor. It kind of sticks in his armor, but he doesn't seem hurt by it at all. He kind of shrugs it off. Was this the guy that had originally hit you with the axe?
Yes, that would be the one that I would aim for. Out of anger at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll spit again, seeing that my spit is this green color, knowing that there was something odd about this blade that struck me. And I yell out again to Dario, but this time in a weaker voice, though I try to strain to make it sound tough. Come, you whore, stop hiding behind your minions. As I grab at this wound on my back. I remember these wax packages in my pocket. I'm also capable of healing myself, though it's a long task. It's something I don't do often. And I begin to wonder how I can use these packages. I know that I need to add them to water or something.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be an issue. There seems to be no problem creating water.
Alright, so yeah. I'll pull the packages out and start doing that.
Yeah, I would imagine too that you would probably all have some sort of canteen or water skin, in your packs. So, yeah, you can do that. And as you do, you kind of, you're starting to mix up this tea. And I actually, I need both Vane and Hadrien to go ahead and make a dexterity save for me.
Okay.
I got a 9.
Dexterity. Oh, I rolled that in. That's 21.
All right. So you, as you know, as your companion here is sort of mixing up his herbs, you kind of hear from inside the room this sort of guttural, almost incantation being spoken. And if any of you speak Infernal, you'll recognize that basically a spell is being cast. And this ball of acid just comes flying from one of these demonic creatures, in the back, hurling at you. And Hadrien, you managed to dodge out of the way as you kind of saw it and expected it. But Vane, you do not, as you're unaware of it. And it strikes you, splashing you on the back and the side for 6 points of damage. And then the axe-wielding demon goes to strike at Hadrien now, who seems more of a threat.
So,
yeah.
Because technically Hadrian's behind me.
Ah, okay then.
As he enters my reach as a polearm master, I'll make a swing.
Okay.
23 hits.
Yes, it does.
And his movement is instantly reduced to 0.
Okay. Nice. And so you kind of whack him with the glaive, and it sort of knocks him back, and he's stunned for a minute. And he kind of he recovers, and he still now he tries to slash at you, but because he's sort of stunned, his first attack goes wide, and his second attack is even worse. He actually has this wild swing, and he kind of trips and falls backwards, knocking the companion that was next to him over.
It's 6 damage.
6 damage, alrighty. Okay. He's seriously injured at this point. He seems, he's still in the fight, but his 3 other companions, being uninjured, are now enraged. The one that had fired a ball of acid was, he's kind of standing, backing up, but the other one attempts to reach Hadrien again, and definitely misses. He's actually throwing a javelin at you, but it goes wide. And so, I believe, who did we have next in the initiative order? I believe we have Hadrien next.
Yeah. So we've got some sort of thing that's making magic at the back. Gazing into the room, like, how difficult would it be for me to actually get to him?
It wouldn't necessarily be difficult. I mean, because you would be. Well, no, I would say that's fine. You, at this point, because of the fact that the one that was wielding his axe is stunned and can't move, you should be fine to move past him without any. Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna like grab my shield, like put it in front of me, and just like push past. I'm gonna throw the torch into the room, or drop it. Like I'm just gonna drop it as I move, hoping that the light continues, and draw my weapon, because dropping isn't an action. So I can interact just with my weapon. So yeah. I push past, and it looks like the shield rush kind of like bounding forward, kind of move, and just like holding my blade out in front of me, charging directly at this the one that was throwing this acid.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Cause yeah, that's nasty shit. So I'm gonna roll for that attack. So that That is a 17.
That definitely hits.
Alright. And this one hasn't been damaged yet.
Yeah, this one is not nearly as big or as nasty looking as the other one. There's two that are kind of smaller, and two that are sort of the big bruisers.
Alright, so he takes 10 damage, and when I make an attack action, I can use a bonus action to try and shove it. Do I really want to do that? I want it to look like that and be like a shield bash, but I want him to stay within 5 feet so that he's at disadvantage when. So I just slam my shield into him as well at the end of this attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely do that. And you connect, and you can feel the satisfying crunch as your shield kind of bashes into his face, and he tries to bring his his arms, his clawed hands up. But they kind of, push, and he staggers for a minute, but manages to, maybe only take like a half step back at the force of your blow. And seeing this, Celia, what are you going to do now? As this one guy was backed up, and you kind of are engaged with the seriously injured bruiser. Oh, I think you're muted here.
Yeah, you're muted.
Just sort of stepping forward, pretty much sort of dominating over the bruiser. I'm just going to take a swing down with my glaive.
All right, yeah.
16 hit?
Yes, it does. Cool.
My dice stream's being a bit slow. Good. So that's 5 damage.
5 damage. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you definitely cut into him with the blade, and he's just staggering at your blows, unable to move, just like continuing to take these hits, and he's just screaming out in rage and pain, but he's still on his feet.
Just sort of as I hit down, I'm just gonna sort of quickly kneel down, hitting with the staff part.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely do not hit.
All right. As you swing, and he manages to bring his axe up, kind of blocking your blow, and kind of shoving it off. All right, and then Bombara, we'll have you go.
You know what? Bombara's still standing there with both arms fully extended, both hands wrapped around this skull, shaking it, still chanting and mumbling what would seem to be nonsense to the others. As he's doing so, the orange light from within the skull's maw begins to fade, and then it seems to drool once more. And as it seems to drool, one of the orbs of ice that Bombara had formed on his belt becomes liquid once again, and what he's going to do with it is have it snake its way to Celia's glaive and form a version of the bladed part of the glaive on the haft and solidify back into ice.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. So you do that, and now it's almost as if she has this double-bladed pole arm, with an icy blade on one end and the steel blade on the other, and this sort of, as the cold forms around your blade, you can kind of feel it coursing through your hands, but you also feel this sense of power radiating from it. And so I think what we'll do, if you guys want, is take a quick, maybe 5-minute break, grab some water, whatever, and we'll get back to it.
Yeah, man.
Sweet.
All right. All right. Will the heroes of Tristram survive?
So, Sam, do you reckon we'll be wrapped up by 3 at this rate?
Oh yeah, we should be.
Sweet. Because I gotta pop up to my place and get ready for a photo shoot later.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet.
No problem. Yeah, I figure we'll either, you'll either all perish or you will succeed. We shall see.
Bombara will never die. He is preordained to live forever.
I'm gonna purposely kill your character.
You don't know. You already have my eyes on your weapon. Try, and we shall see what happens.
Yep, you pretty much now have a double-bladed lightsaber if this were Star Wars.
Legit. I also have a lot of spares, so...
Nice. Well, yeah, you have to. I feel like that's
Yeah.
a prerequisite, right?
I was just like, I'll take them, maybe use them.
Yeah. I know, that was funny because, like, I think I was telling, I forget who I was telling, but I was like, man, we literally had like no melee fighters in the original group that I had here.
Yeah, I think that might have actually been me, because I was chatting to you and I was like, I'm thinking of doing a Demon Hunter or a Amazon. And you're just like, yeah, we have no melee. I'm like, okay, I'll do an Amazon.
Yeah, and I mean, but it was funny because I was like, I need a tank, and you're like, okay, I'll do an Amazon, and I was like, okay, that works. I was like, not quite what I was thinking, but I like it.
Well, considering you've seen my AC and health, so.
Oh yeah, no, believe me, it's working. That's great.
And
go ahead.
Nobody can get past me if I get in the right position.
Awesome.
I just gotta read into something quickly.
Yeah, sure. All right, I'll give it one more minute, and then if we are all back, we will continue.
Cool.
Cool. And I was gonna say too, with Vane, you're starting to your vision is actually starting to almost blur a little bit as you start seeing this vision in your mind, and it's almost like you're watching this scene, almost like like a movie where you're viewing it through the eyes of the main character, and you kind of there's a door at the far end of this room. And that door leads out into a hallway, and that hallway leads into another room. And in that room are all of these spikes with these corpses on them, and just gore and blood everywhere. And in that room is just this vicious, monstrous demon with this humongous axe, just coated in this, infernal, fire, and you get this vision, almost of, as you sort of pan out a little bit, of this creature with these, just radiant wings, almost like these, 5 or 6 kind of, just glowing, almost feathers, and this glowing sword, and he's approaching this, this room. And as he kind of gets into the room, this just horrible, nasty demon looks up at him, and just kind of starts laughing. Fresh meat. And this winged creature, kind of looks at him and says, "You do not know, demon. Your death is soon to come. The forces of good, the forces of the the heavens will always defeat your kind, as we have before. We will again. You will meet your death here tonight." And the demon, kind of looks for a minute, and he starts laughing, and then he just hurls the axe at this figure, and the figure rises up, and kind of flies out of the way, ascending basically up into the sky, as the the demon howls in rage and goes over and grabs his grabs his ginormous axe from the wall, and then starts basically kind of prancing himself around his sort of room there, chomping on the desiccated corpses that are in there.
Nice. So as this is happening, I'm kind of leaned against the wall, shaking this herbs up in my water skin, stuck in this vision. I want to wait till Ramos comes back before, so I don't got to say a bunch of stuff twice.
No, I'm here, dude. I have everything turned off because I'm eating it. I don't want nobody to, nobody wants to see me eat, right?
So yeah, I'm shaking this water skin up. I kind of snap out of these visions and I take a swig from it. These visions that I see, these faces, the same faces that I saw poking through the flesh of my mother and father. coming out of their bodies, and I remember the door, and I kind of mutter it, a door in a long hall, drawing the attention of the party. It leads to another door in a room. Inside this door, it's just nothing but corpses all over. Huge demon with a great axe, but there was this winged figure. It was, I don't know if it's from the, maybe I'm tripping from the womb, but this winged figure, almost as if it was an angel, was there, and he challenged the beast and went in there to fight it. And I'm looking around confused at the party, and I take a swig from my water skin.
The gods are truly with us. This is a good omen.
Awesome. And as you take a swig of the liquid, you do feel this sense of sort of peace come over you for a minute, and you can feel your wounds heal a little bit as mechanically you gain 1d6 plus whatever your Constitution modifier is back in hit points. So I'll let you roll that if you want. And you are still kind of, I can't remember if you were engaged or not. I don't believe you were with an enemy at this point, as I believe the Amazon, was taking care of that. But there is still the big bruiser one who's pretty injured, and then the one who fired acid at you is also injured, and there are 2 uninjured creatures as well in here.
I will snap, drawing my bow, knocking an arrow, taking aim at the closest demon to me, loosing it. Am I disadvantaged between my allies?
No, I would say at this point there's enough space that you can fire normally.
18.
That hits.
Does this is this one been wounded? I would be the one that I've been aiming at. I would be aiming at him again.
Yeah, absolutely. I figured. Well, the one that you had been aiming at was the big one with the axe, so he's pretty injured. So I would say you're good.
Yeah, that's the one I would aim at again and loose the arrow. So I would get extra damage for that.
Okay.
Because he's under the hit points. 12 points of damage.
All right. Yeah, you actually managed to kill him.
So as the last words come off my breath, an angel? I look confused, as if trying to draw the attention of the party, and loose it, the arrow. It flies between Hadrien and Celia, striking this beast in the eye. He reaches up to grab it and starts to fall back, landing, shaking the cathedral from the weight.
Nice. And as he does so, he kind of falls back, and as he falls, he shakes the room a little bit, and this sort of bookcase is, that was up against the wall, kind of falls over on the one that had fired the acid at you, and kind of buries it, crushing it underneath it. Not a bookcase so much, but like almost like a shelf that would have items and whatever for the afterlife. And so with that, there are only 2 monsters left in this room. They both look rather frightened at this point, knowing that they're outnumbered, and they start backing away towards the door to the back, trying to disengage from you guys. And that's what they do. They will disengage, and then they will attempt to flee.
Don't I burn any of them?
Oh yeah, sure. They burn, but not enough to kill them.
Are any of them disengaging from within 10 feet of me?
Yeah, one of them would be.
Cool. He's not.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice. Yep.
No allowing to disengage. However, he does.
Alrighty. There you go. And as you go to swing, you know, he manages to like leap kind of out of the way, and your swing kind of goes wild, and the bottom, you know, part of your glaive kind of hits the ground, and the icy blade that was on it shatters. You know, so basically now you just have the regular, you know, hilt of your of your pole arm again. So these two rush out of the room, or try to rush out of the room anyway. And unless the rest of you guys want to stop them.
Nah. Let them flee, for the gods shall punish them.
So they flee through the door, and as they open the door to the back of the room, actually, yeah, as they do, they kind of go out into the hallway. They don't bother to close the door behind them, and you see this just sort of, it almost looks like fire just ringing the walls, like it's burning on the walls, but it's not burning up the walls. It's just kind of, it almost is like illusion, almost marking your path, so to speak.
We'll truck down the walls. Keep on trucking.
One-way trip on the Butcher Express.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you guys head down the hallway?
Absolutely.
Of course.
And as you do so, you kind of come to, you know, probably about 20 feet down, you know, it kind of cuts to your right, and you go, and as you kind of get to the end of this hallway, and you see this door in front of you, and it's this stone door in an archway, and the door is kind of hanging off of its hinges, and you know, so there's this little crack between, you know, the two door, you know, the kind of the two stone doors, and you can see this fire just crackling behind the, you know, in the room behind there, and you can hear this infernal thing saying, "Fresh meat."
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we're on the right track.
I think you are.
Yeah, it's like,
We're gonna be
right in there. Yeah, absolutely. By the power of the gods! Yeah, I'm just gonna head straight for the fire.
And so you're gonna, Hadrien, you're gonna go first.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as you sort of push open this door, before you can see anything in the room, you're almost rocked by the same vision, and you recognize the figure of the Archangel Tyrael, holding his. And you know that this is an illusion or an image or a vision. It's not real, but holding his sword, and he is seeming, you know, further down in the catacombs here, and there is this giant skeletal figure with this large sword, and he says, "The king has fallen so far, but your minions will not survive this day. Soon, Leoric, you will find your peace. But, unfortunately, that will not be today." And then this vision kind of, you know, you come back, and to juxtapose that, this skeleton king and this vision of Tyrael, you see this room just awash in fire with these stakes all over the room. You know, and and you know, corpses impaled on it, and this giant figure standing there with this huge axe, holding it in both hands. And he looks at you and he simply says, "Fresh meat." And he's going to rush at you. So roll initiative.
He's going to rush at me?
Yes, he is.
I'm gonna look back at him and ask if he knows anything other than those two words.
He's a man on a mission.
And he
Oh,
just
he
wants
didn't-
some fresh meat.
Yep.
I have been rolling progressively lower and lower each initiative.
Nice. And so Hadrien will get to go first, as the blinding speed of the butcher is surprising, but your own speed is that much faster. So
All right.
I got a 9.
yep. But yeah, you're first in the room. So
Okay, that's cool. All right, so as his preparing his charge and starting to move towards me, I call upon the angel that I saw in my vision, and I say, and I don't know who it is. You know, I've not studied any text. So I just yell out, "Oh, holy angel, guide my shard as I attempt to slay this beast." And I use sacred weapon as an action. So I'm imbuing my weapon with. So I add my charisma modifier to attack rolls, and the weapon emits a bright light. So the light of the angel that I saw in my vision just like beams off this light. So the room is full of this light, holy, and I'm going to make it even blue, like this blue glow.
Nice.
And that happens, and then I'm just gonna like walk right up to him and just hold up my shield. And as a bonus action, I think I might cast Faith's Armor. Is someone else going to be in melee with this guy? Because I want to cast Faith's Armor on someone. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Alright, so Celia, I see her coming up behind, eager for the fight. And so, like, I raise my shield, and then there's a big rune right in the center of the shield, and I just slam it with my palm, and I say, "The gods shall protect you," and the blue glow emanates from the rune, and then like travels up into the center of the room, and then like focuses down on Celia, and she is surrounded by this blue shield that she can easily see through and can easily be seen, but makes her more difficult to hit. That adds +2 to her armor class.
Awesome. All right. And so that's great. So you do that, and as you're doing that, the butcher is just rushing at you with this unbelievable speed, and just as you get your spell off, he comes right up in front of you, and he's going to swing his axe at you.
How close would he be to me?
Well, so this is all happening really fast. Basically what happened was the butcher, as soon as Hadrien entered the door, the butcher started rushing at him. Hadrien kind of turns around to cast his spell, so you haven't gotten into the room yet. And at the very end of his spell, Hadrien kind of, turns around almost, I would think, to face the butcher again, and then This is where it happens. After the butcher's turn, though, you will be able to act. So let's see. Does a 16 hit?
No.
All right. So with one hit, he misses. Does a 17 hit?
No.
Nice. And he gets one more attack. Oh, and he misses you. So he just swings as fast as you've ever seen a creature this huge swing. you manage to parry and dodge out of the way, almost as if divine, some kind of divine aura was protecting you. He gives this just scream of terror, or not terror, the scream of rage as he didn't hit you at all. He kind of stands there ready for the fight.
All right.
And so Celia, you are up next.
Cool. I'm just gonna run sort of. How tall is he, by the way?
How tall is he? He's probably a good 10 feet tall.
Okay, so not that much bigger than me. I'm just gonna run up and just take a quick swing, sort of just above his kneecap.
Mm-hmm.
And does 19 hit?
Yes, it does.
I don't have the ice blade anymore. It broke.
Yep, I was just gonna say, yeah, the ice blade smashed it with his natural 1. So yes, a 19 does hit.
Cool. I'm gonna make that a distracting attack.
Okay.
So whoever goes next has whoever attacks him next has advantage on their roll.
Okay, great.
Cool. So damage is 11.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna sort of stub his toe with the butt of my glaive.
Nice.
23 hits.
Yep.
And that is an impressive. When this dice will roll. Impressive 7 damage.
Nice. That is impressive.
Excellent. What? Oh, Vane, what is your initiative? I don't think I got that.
9.
Oh, okay, yep. So, I believe we have Nelson. You are up next. So, what does Bombara do?
All right. Now I'm gonna try to get creative because why not?
Oh yeah.
This room of his is filled with corpses, blood all over the place, pieces of his victims scattered about. Correct?
Yes.
So what Bombara is going to do is bring the skull, still held in 2 hands, close to his own. He starts shaking it, and the jaw unlocks slightly. Blood starts dripping from its maw. The sockets in its eyes begin to faintly glow. Bombara's eyes again start to swirl and fill with blackness. And then some of the blood around one of these bodies begins moving and shaping and flowing into the corpse and starts stitching the corpse together and raises the corpse as he's using the shape water spell on the blood inside of the corpse. And if I can, I want the corpse to charge at the butcher.
You know what? I'm going to let that happen. Yeah, go ahead and make an attack roll, but I would say make it at disadvantage.
All right. I would actually want it to grapple like the butchers.
Okay.
Not like jump up and grapple at the what is it? His if I remember, he was wearing that big butcher's sort of apron, so he should have the straps in the back.
Okay, sure.
Like that, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a totally immersed power gamer.
So with disadvantage, I get a 12. I don't know what would be added to that or not, if anything. But I get a 12 on the die.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that this thing sort of manages to kind of get a hold of him. It doesn't deal him any damage, but it's kind of this corpse, this sort of animated corpse, is like hanging onto him, and it's like fingers, like rigor mortis, almost like stick onto this apron, and the butcher is sort of
that's perfectly fine. That is awesome.
Nice. It'll explode it next. Nice. Cool. All right, and then Vane would be up next.
Vane enters the room. First off, I want to name them as my Corey partner, and I will reach into my pack as I slide into the room, sticking to the shadows, pulling out this little pouch. It's concealed into this leaf, tied up with this hempen rope, and I will chuck it at this demon. As it lands in front of it, it sprinkles open, and you see these ruins erupt and start creeping along the floor, and it needs to make a Constitution save.
All right. Let's see. Constitution save. All right. What does it need to do? Or what's the DC?
12.
It succeeds.
So it's able to shake off the powers. It's an entrapping spell. It's supposed to stick it in spot so it's unable to move, but it shakes it off, unable to do it. So as I see this, I'll knock an arrow sticking to the shadows. Seeing that was my only one that I had. Fuck. I think.
Nice. Yeah, and so, the demonic presence and the fact that, he's in his territory, in his element, are working in his favor, and the butcher, manages to sort of keep the advantage over you guys. And as that happens, you hack to see what's been going on, and even though it's only been a few seconds, you've kind of taken all of this in. And how would you like to react to seeing this?
So who are you talking to, sorry?
You, Hadrien. Sorry.
All right. How am I going to react?
Yep.
Well, I figure he seems a little disturbed, but he's here for a holy purpose, and he's not going to, turn down the holy purpose. So he will steel himself with resolve to continue this battle until the butcher is dead. So is it my action, is it, or are you just asking how it is?
Yes. Yep,
Right.
No, it is your action.
Alright, so in that case, I'm actually going to use my inspiration here, make sure that I hit.
Nice.
So that's done. And
Oh, that's true. You do have advantage on that, so you don't even really need to use your inspiration per se. But yeah, you still hit.
yeah. Yeah, so that so that hits anyway. So yeah, I strike down with my now blessed shard that's glowing with this blue and golden light. And I'll roll some damage. And I'm going to use a spell slot to smite the creature.
All right.
An extra. So I'll tell you. So the weapon is magic, by the way. While this is all in effect, so it bypasses any resistance. The rapier damage is only 4 by itself, and then in holy damage, that's 8.
Alright, 12 total.
Because I rolled so low.
It's all right. Yeah. So you get him for 12 damage then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. And as you do that, when you hit him, it's this like flash of white and blue, almost looks like fire, erupts from your blade, and the rest of you for a minute almost get this image of, one of the, like one of the angelic beings, fighting the demons in hell. And just like that, you're back in the, in this room with this vile creature. He screams out, in just this ferocious growl, and swings at Hadrien for everything he's got.
Sam.
Yeah.
As he takes a swing, Sentinel's going to proc, and I'm just going to sort of try stab under his arm.
Okay. With the intention of trying to prevent one of his hits, or you just hit him?
I attack before he attacks.
Okay.
But I do not hit.
You did not hit? Okay.
No.
And so as you attempt to hit, his pure speed allows him to hit or to avoid your blows. 19. Oh my God, he actually got you on all of these.
All right.
Excellent. So, what does he do? So you get 37 points of damage as he just slashes at you with his axe, and then basically hits you on the backswing with the other side of his axe, and then kind of kicks you, and kind of knocking you back. And he kind of just lets out this big growl.
All right. Okay, so what you see is the shield just like falls to the side as the creature just like slashes into him, and just like tears away at the scale armor that Hadrien's wearing, and blue runes like shatter, just like in big explosions as the armor gets rent, and then just blood just like piles down onto the floor, and Hadrien's eyes go blank, and he falls unconscious to the ground.
Nice.
Wow.
And the demon just looks down at him and says, as you might expect, fresh meat. Mm-hmm. But with that, we can see what Celia decides she's going to do.
Cool.
It is now her act.
So, as I see Hadrien fall down to my side, I sort of get a bit more angry as one of my companions has, as he's been saying, turned to fresh meat. I'm just going to take a swing, aiming straight for his stomach.
Yep.
Oh no! The concentration's gone.
Yeah, I'm kind of unconscious, so I can't exactly concentrate on that.
I take an 11 one hit.
No, it will not.
Cool. Bonus action. I will swing with the butt of my sword. Or my glaive.
Glaive, yep.
That'll hit.
That will.
So that's 6 damage.
All right.
5 damage.
Okay.
And then second action surge.
All right.
Also the butt of it was a distracting attack.
Yep.
16 hit.
It does.
Cool. That's 11 damage, and I'm gonna make this. Does he have weapons?
Well, I mean, he's got the one just enormous axe in his hand. Yeah.
Cool. Can he make me a strength saving throw?
Yes, he can.
As I attempt to disarm him.
Battlemaster. What does he need to make?
14, I believe.
Oh yes, he definitely makes it.
Oh, no.
He manages to hold on to his axe. But he is definitely distracted as this flurry of blows just hits him, and it kind of rains down on him. And you know, the effort of holding on to his axe, preventing you from flipping it out of his hand, you know, definitely has distracted him. So we, Bombara, you can go ahead, and I believe because he's distracted, if you attack, you do attack at advantage.
Well, one of the things I want to do is instead of like actually attacking, if I need to roll an attack, just let me know. But the corpse that's being pseudo animated, that has a hold of his I guess you would call them like back straps or tassels or whatever. As he's being attacked and being raised up slightly, I want the corpse to lean back, to dig its heels into his back, and just lean back with it, drawing the apron upwards towards his neck, almost like you would the reins of a horse.
Okay.
And as the corpse gets to full extension, I want to freeze the blood inside of it.
Nice. All right. Yeah, so you do that. He is going to make a strength check here, and he actually kind of with one hand kind of grabs the front of his, I guess, apron, which was starting to like choke him, and he's kind of holding it back, and then as this like corpse is just frozen solid, kind of sticking. I almost imagine like straight out, feet on his back, like, and so he's kind of like holding back, trying to swat at it, and but so it doesn't deal any damage to him, but it's definitely pissing him off and making him annoyed here.
If it's granting any further distraction, I would be very happy.
Yes, and I would say it is. It's continuing the distraction for him. All right, and Vane, you are up. What would you like to do?
Seeing that it's distracted, seeing my the ruins from this little bomb that I had just thrown at him crackle at its feet and not hold him at all. I pull out this dagger, the same dagger that I slashed my palm with and smeared my blood on the face with, and I pull out my hand crossbow, seeing Hadrien laying there on the brink of death. I charge past him, knowing the butcher's distracted for the moment as his apron's pulled up to its face. I slash out with this dagger that my teacher gave me long ago once I completed all of my quests as a demon hunter, slashing at this demon's belly. 12.
A 12 does not hit.
I slip on some blood from one of the corpses on the floor. It throws my hand off. As I slash out, it misses its belly. I grab my hand crossbow, putting it to its gut, unleashing the arrow. 14.
14 does not hit as well.
He will have advantage.
Oh, yes, you will have advantage. That's true. So you go ahead and...
19?
Yes, that does hit.
So I slip on a piece of intestines on the floor. It actually helps my aim out, and the arrow strikes true, doing 13 points of damage.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, and so as the bolt kind of sticks and it kind of hits him right in the neck, and you can see that he's definitely starting to to rock from all these blows, and you'll notice that his wounds seemed for a minute the blood starts oozing, and then you see it kind of and it's hard to see because he's got the corpse still around his neck, but you see that the blood starts to congeal a little bit, and then it looks as though the wound kind of closes up a little bit around the around the wound there, and so his wounds seem to knit just a little bit as he seems to absorb this this infernal energy in the room. And with that, since Hadrien is unconscious, I believe you have to make a death saving throw.
Yes, I do.
So let's see how you do.
That's a fail.
Okay. And the butcher now is somewhat, annoyed, trying to decide if he wants to, try to rip this corpse off his back, if he wants to go after the man that sent it there in the first place. But no, he actually sets his sights on the demon hunter that just attacked him, just sent a bolt into him, and he's going to level his axe at you, attempting...
As he turns to face the demon hunter, I'll take a swing in between his calves.
Okay.
A 12 won't hit.
It will not. Oh, man. That's a bummer. However, he does manage to strike twice as his blade cuts into Vane. .22 damage as he slashes you, and then comes around and kind of, with the other, does a backslash and hits you with the other side of his double-bladed, not the double-bladed axe, but the other side of his axe. And then he attempts to kind of kick at you, but you manage to dodge out of the way. So, and it is Celia's action.
Vane grunts out in pain as this humongous axe slashes at his gut and damn near kills him. He grabs his body, his torso, dropping his short sword and his hand crossbow. The dagger and his hand crossbow, and sits there. He believes holding his intestines in.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna approach Hadrien and sort of rummage through his pack, trying to find any sort of green-looking potions.
Yes. Yes, you do. You find this curiously red vial that seems to be glowing with health.
I'm just going to quickly grab it and sort of just open it up and make him drink it.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. You do that.
Would that be an action or?
Yeah, I would say your move. It would have taken your move action to go move over to him, and then your other action to. Oh, you were standing right beside him? All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, then, but it would take an action to rummage through his stuff and feed him his potion, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
And then, from memory, bonus action for the Poland, I actually have to attack first.
All right.
So, that'll be my turn.
Okay. And Bombara, you are up.
You know what? Because it's fun, I'm going to continue doing this. Bombara's still, clutching the skull close to him. Bombara's eyes still completely black. Still muttering stuff. Just constantly shaking the skull. Bombara, again, is going to use Shape Water, but this time to target whatever water would naturally be on the eyes of the butcher. And he's going to change the opacity of the water to be black and completely opaque.
All right. Sure, no problem. However, I'm going to give the butcher a saving throw. And the butcher has this great magical resistance, which gives him advantage. So, let's see how we do. Ooh. So you manage to do that, and it turns black, and what you see is, for a minute he's temporarily blinded, and then the water starts to just sort of steam and and turn into this steam.
No,
and just kind of
that's
dissipate.
fine. A minute is 10 combat rounds. I'm fine with that.
And that's what you get when you use the word minute with a power gamer. No, just kidding. Hey, Lisa, I'm not making you pay to play. What? Man, dropping all this controversy today.
Oh, shots fired.
Alrighty. No, that's great. And actually, but it definitely kind of throws him off for a minute, and he's certainly distracted by that. And so, Vane, you're up next, but you said you were sitting, attempting to hold in your insides. Is that right?
Yeah. I dropped to my knees. I look at the dagger at my feet and the hand crossbow. It looses an arrow that goes wild and sticks to one of the corpses on the floor. My eyes are faded. I look down. I loose my hand. As I do so, I fall back, and I see this huge gash on my belly, and I will make my first death saving throw. Ooh, I rolled a crit.
Nice.
For the first one.
All right. So you rolled a natural 20?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I believe that stabilizes you and puts you at 1 hit point.
1. Yeah.
Yep.
For real?
Yep.
For real.
Nice. I don't know. I'm pretty fucked up, so I'm gonna bypass my go because my gut just like hanging out. So, yeah, I'm still laid there regardless of 1 hit point or not.
Alrighty.
But I'm like grasping for this dagger that my teacher gave me. This is like my one last hope. This dagger. He's drilled it into my head. This dagger is used to kill demons, you little fuck. So I'm hoping that this thing will come into handy.
Nice. Yes, and it should, I would imagine, if you can manage to keep your guts inside of you. But with that, Hadrien, as you sort of have this potion forced down your throat, you jolt back into consciousness. Some of your wounds knitting, giving yourself a little bit of vitality. You're able to to kind of stand and regain consciousness. And what would you like to do?
I would love to throw my shield aside and look up to the sky and or to the roof, and I raise my weapon and I say, "I have failed you once. I will not fail you again." And I will rush at the butcher, and I want to leap into the air, and I want to ram my shard right into his back, as he's not really focused on me right at this moment. And yeah, let's see if that is successful first. All right, so that's an 18.
Yes, that is successful.
All right, I'm gonna smite again. Hopefully I roll better this time. Alright. So that is 9 plus 7, so 16 damage.
16, alright.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's some radiant damage there. And hit by restrained. And can I roll anything to hold on? I don't know what the grapple checks or whatever are. I haven't done that for a while. Can I ride him or something?
Well, potentially. However, that would be an action to grapple him. So I would say not this turn, but next turn, if you want to, you would make basically an athletics check, and he would oppose it.
Okay. Well, we'll see if I feel like that. For the moment, I just have my weapon and not my shield, so I'm down a bit on AC, and I'm at his back with my weapon in him, just trying to hold on.
All right.
Blood pouring out. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, you know, seeing you rise up again and actually deal him damage has enraged him, and he's going to try to take out some of his fury on you. And he is not successful at all in doing that. In fact, as he swings his axe at you, you know, he kind of goes wide as the corpse on his back kind of twitches and kind of throws his aim off, and he buries his axe into the ground, and he's trying to pull it out, and it's stuck a little bit, and he manages just barely to start getting it free, but that consumes the rest of his, you know, he's consumed doing that and cannot do anything else.
As his axe enters the ground, I'm going to swing it as Achilles using my reaction.
Okay.
Hopefully hitting. Yes, I hit for once. So that's 21 to hit, and that's 7 damage.
Okay, yep, great.
Cool. And then, as I sort of swing it as Achilles, does it come to my turn now?
Yes.
As it sort of, it's still going through, I'm just going to sort of pivot it up, sort of trying to cut through his calves.
All right.
For 19?
Yes, that hits.
For 13 damage.
Nice. Yeah, you're definitely doing a number on him. He is, you know, he's hurting bad, and you know, you see that where he was, his damage was sort of healing up and knitting before, it is no longer doing so. You know, the combination of your blows and you know, and all this stuff is really kind of distracting him and taking the.
And as the blade sort of comes out of his cuff, I'm just going to shove the butt of the pole into where the Achilles would rejoin.
Nice. Yeah, go for it.
And I crit.
Oh my god. Oh, yeah. Alrighty.
So that's 12 damage in total.
Wow. You managed to kind of bring him to his knees as, you know, his Achilles, you know, ruptures and he can no longer, you know, support himself on his you know, on his leg there, and he kind of falls, bracing himself with his axe, you know, just screaming in fury, and you see this this image kind of flash across your face of this, you know, these angels, kind of this incursion into hell, and they're just beating back the forces of hell as they're, you know, kind of retreating back into this, you know, chasm, and then your vision kind of comes back as you're looking on the destruction that you've just wrought upon the butcher. He's still alive, but he's definitely hurt. And with that, Vane, you are up.
Gripping his intestines, he'll blindly reach out, feeling the hilt of the dagger at his feet. He'll grasp it, standing up, slipping in his own blood. He'll reach out, staggering forward with this blade to attack this beast. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll at advantage, too, because he's definitely not in any shape to oppose you very, very easily.
Alright. So I rolled a 2 and a 3.
Yep. And that makes sense in your injured condition as you attempt to, with the dagger, right? Or was it with the crossbow?
No, it was with the dagger, yeah.
The dagger, yeah. You attempt to use this blade, and it seems to make contact with him, but it's just not you know, with enough force from, you know, the loss of blood has kind of affected that. And so, are you going to try to take any kind of move action, or is that going to be your turn?
Yeah, I'm just going to stand there at this point, because I'm pretty much still on the brink of death. I'm standing there the dagger falls from my hand at this point. The words of the man who taught me to hunt demons fade away, seeming now useless, all this training that I've gone through, and I drop to my knees. As I do so, my hands fall away from my stomach, and you see this piece of almost like a brain pop out of the midsection through my slitted armor, and I look down at it blindly. This greenness overtaking my eyes, the poison from the demon not long ago that struck me in the back, still taking effect. I spit on the ground, it's still covered in this greenness, and I drop down on my face and make that saving throw. So I failed that one.
Alright.
Oh, did you take more damage, which would have put you down? Because you stabilized, so you wouldn't need to make another saving throw otherwise.
Well, when I let my hand go and my intestines slip out, I
Okay, there you go.
took it upon myself to
Role-playing
make
it.
it happen. Yeah.
He's role-playing it. He's role-playing
No
the shit out of it.
No worries, that's cool. Oh man, as your guts are hanging out, and you know, Hadrien, as you just had this victorious fight, and you see the attempt of your compatriot here, and you see his action causing him to have this happen. He, what are you gonna do?
All right, so clinging onto my shard that's lying in the creature's back, I propel myself up over his shoulder, leaving my blade there. It's just sticking in his back, leaving my blade there, and I just I grab onto my armor, and there are two more symbols that are still intact. So I just touch them, one each with both of my hands, and I rush at Vane, seeing him on the ground, and I just throw myself onto him, throwing my arms around him and trying to scoop his innards back into his body. And as I do so, blue divine light starts to just emanate and burst out of him and out of my back, so that we're sort of just illuminated by this blue divine light. And as that happens, I spend the rest of my lay on hands, which is 10 hit points, to just knit his stomach back together, and manipulate his internal organs back into place, and I will say, "You will not die this day, for the gods have decreed that the butcher shall be the only one that experiences death." And that will be my turn.
That's great. And as the butcher is frantically trying to get up, trying to continue the fight, the corpse that is still kind of pulling him back is now actually doing so, and you can see him fighting with all of his might to try to kind of stop from falling onto his back, and it's preventing him from being able to do anything. So shall we see if Celia will be the one to deal the final death blow to the butcher?
He didn't even want to attack, so I can attack him.
You can't.
So I'll just.
But you can attack him now.
That's 13, so that'll miss. And then let's see if the butt of my.
You can attack with advantage.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So, 18.
Yes, that will hit him.
And then that's 9 damage.
Sweet.
All right.
And
Go
do
ahead.
both my attacks have advantage?
Yes.
Cool. So the butt of my glaive. 14.
Yep, that'll hit him.
Cool. And that is for 4 damage.
Nice.
Yep, and you just barely. He's still alive, but at this point, he is basically lying on the ground, unable to, to do anything. As you've basically just pummeled him to the ground with the butt of your glaive. He's lying there, his axe kind of across his chest, being choked by this, this now kind of half shattered zombie as he landed on it, and. He's just lying there. And Bambara, you are up.
So he's lying there motionless?
Well, almost. He's basically prone. He can't do anything.
But while he's lying there, I'm just gonna keep chanting and doing what I'm doing and manipulating all this massive amount of blood in this area, and do to him what I did to the zombies in the very first room, which is reform them into little snakes. The snake around his wrists, both his wrists, his ankles, and sort of freeze to the tiles of stone on the ground.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you do so, and he's basically, kind of just now pinned to the ground of his own death chamber, unable to move, unable to, sort of resist your magic here. He's bellowing in pain, although his bellow has not, doesn't have the same force that it did before. All right, and if that is it, then Vane are up.
So as Vane is slipping into the brink of death, he sees these visions of his mother and father. Their bodies twitching and crawling, being dragged by an unknown force across the room as these something crawls in their bodies and pokes out through their flesh. But all of a sudden this light begins to shine, and he sees this vision of these angels fighting these demonic creatures and driving them back in the depths of hell. And he feels this calmness creep over his body as his wounds begin to heal, and he opens his eyes and he sees Hadrien above him, and he hears the words Hadrien shouts out, saying that no one will die but the butcher today. He crawls to his knees, pushing Hadrien away kind of blindly, looking for the dagger around him that he had dropped when he thought that all his training was useless. Will I be able to grab it and approach him and stab him with it?
Yeah, I would say you could.
Alright, yeah, so I'll crawl to this dagger, slipping in the blood and the intestines of the battle and the corpses and everything from around, gripping this dagger, all the time hearing the words of the man who trained me, "The dagger, you little fuck," in my head, echoing. As I crawl towards this beast, I lash out at it. Am I at advantage?
Oh, you don't even need to roll. You will be able to kill him.
As the dagger pierces this thing's flesh, it enters its belly, and these ruins begin to crackle, and the ruins that I've never seen, and I've had this thing for a while now. And it begins to spread on this demon's body and creep across its flesh. You can see the fear in the demon's eyes as it feels the pain of these ruins that begin to engulf it, banishing it from this plane, as it feels the pain from this dagger, from the curse in it, making it suffer. And I now realize that everything that I've done isn't in vain. Ha!
God.
Awesome.
So is
Yeah.
that the butcher dead?
The butcher is dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, boy.
Hey Sam, you want to try hit me next time?
Yeah. Well, you know, it would have gone differently if we weren't on a time limit. But yes.
Sure.
Yep. No worries. No
I'm
worries.
like, I still have 40 health. I still have my whole health.
Oh, I know it. I know
Hey,
it.
hey, hey! Don't be complaining about your whole health. I'm happy to have my whole health plus